Hello, I'm Mike Whitaker and I'm a lead consultant with Sysdoc, an independent consultancy that supports organisations going through major business change and transformational change. Research frequently tells us that organisations often fail to deliver the benefits stated in their business case for change. And in this video, I want to explore how a data-led approach to change can help leaders to deliver change in a more agile way, better manage the organisational risks associated with their change, and ultimately to maximise their return on investment. The ability to acquire, process, and then present factual information to enable leaders of organisations to make fact-based, data-led decisions is key to the success of any transformation. And it negates the risks that they face in relying on subjective information or perhaps influences of bias, as well as past experience, which may be limited. With recent technological advances, organisations now have more data than they've ever had before. But from our experience, it's really important to identify the right metrics and use those to make informed decisions. And this is fundamental to the successful management and long-term adoption of change. Typically, there'll be plenty of data available to measure business performance. But we also need to consider how change will impact upon people within the organisation. Understanding the impact of a planned change, or indeed a portfolio of changes, across different areas of the organisation and at every level of the organisation is key, as is the environment into which the change is being delivered. We need to think about culture and whether the changes we want to implement align to the existing organisational culture, or will we need to drive cultural change to encourage adoption of new ways of working to support those strategic objectives. And then we need to think about leadership in the organisation and consider whether leaders have sufficient experience and skills in leading their people and their teams through complex change, and indeed that they have the capacity to actually manage this on top of what is often a very demanding workload. The mantra of planning with the end in mind is never more true than in the context of organisational change. But from our experience, it's also important to understand where your journey begins. We believe it's important to create a clear baseline for change and to set this in the context of the organisation's strategic objectives and outcomes, not just the programme objectives. And this is often where programmes fall down. I also think it's important to consider the merits of quantitative versus qualitative data. We have a natural bias to use quantitative data, numerical data, because it gives us a sense of an absolute value, something we can plot in a graph or a table and make decisions against. But as Albert Einstein said, not everything that can be counted counts, and not everything that counts can be counted. And I guess whilst this simplicity and apparent cleanliness of using quantitative data is very appealing, on its own it can sometimes be a blunt instrument. Using a combination of quantitative and qualitative data will often provide us with a richer, more balanced understanding of the diverse views and opinions of our target populations subject to the change. With a clear picture of what we want to achieve, we need to prepare the people in the organisation so they're ready to accept the changes that we need to make to their existing ways of working. And I find the model by Beckard and Harris a really useful, quite simple way to illustrate some of the forces influencing an individual's willingness to accept change. Essentially what their model is trying to explain is that change will occur when, from an individual's perspective, they have a level of dissatisfaction with the present. So what are the things that are not quite right about the organisation today and how it's performing? What are some of the risks that we face coming over the horizon from our competitors? Those kind of issues. The reasons why status quo is not acceptable for us. Then we need to think about the vision. It's all well and good to want to move away from where we are today, but without a clear understanding of where we're heading, and a sense that where we're heading is a better place than where we are today, then we need to give people that clear understanding of what the future might look like for them. Thirdly, we need to give them confidence that we can manage them through that journey, that we've got the skills in the organisation to safely transition them from where they are today to where they need to be in the future. And the combination of those three things, the dissatisfaction with the present, a clear vision, an attractive, compelling vision of the future, and a confidence in the organisation's ability to navigate the journey to that new way of working, has to be greater than the reasons for staying put, i.e. the resistance to embracing and embarking on the change in the first place. With a clear starting point identified with our baseline metrics, a clear end destination defined through the strategic objectives and targets that have been set, it's really important that we test the effectiveness of our actions in taking users through the journey of change to make sure that they arrive ready for GoLive, feeling confident about why we're changing, how it's going to affect them, and that they've got the knowledge and the skills to be successful in the new ways of working. We do this through a range of data gathering methods. We can use pulse surveys. These are typically short, quick surveys that are repeated at various stages through the project. We can do one-off surveys at particular points in the programme where we need to test the effectiveness of major intervention. For other topics, we might run focus groups. This is particularly useful where you're not looking at just working with quantitative data, but you need some qualitative input. And finally, we can work with key stakeholders doing single individual interviews. Historically, this has been really difficult because organisations have not been consistent in the data that they capture. Often it's very decentralised and we have little control over where it sits and whether it's being maintained. And when data is being captured, it's often done in Excel spreadsheets. It's very labour intensive with a lot of work and effort to analyse that data. And this can lead to significant delays when you're trying to harvest that information from across the organisation, waiting for data inputs before you can prepare reports. And finally, there's of course very little standardisation. One department may be asking different questions or using different metrics and scales to assess and report on the data. But now we're in a position with new technology to be able to build digital online tools that will improve the accuracy, the efficiency, and the quality of the data that we're providing to leaders to make these key business decisions. We have the benefit now with cloud-based technologies to have centralized data platforms that will harvest information from across an organization, even at a global level, giving us a single source of truth. We can automate tasks, doing away with those Excel spreadsheets and the analytics where human error can introduce additional complications to our analysis and interpretation. Those tools will also provide us with the ability to present that data in much more interactive ways that will help to facilitate the engagement of our leaders in making key decisions. And finally, Having one system, a single platform, single set of tools, we create the opportunity for standardization, a unified approach across the whole of the organization, consistent methodology, consistent templating for our reporting. At Sysdoc, we work with Serendata, who have developed a set of digital and data tools, and their platform helps us to mitigate the organisational risks associated with the lack of accessible, robust data. It's built around a structured framework that guides users through the change process in a coordinated and consistent way to better inform business decisions. These are some of the benefits that we see from using these digital and data tools. If we were making business decisions, we'd be mad not to do that without data, whether that's data on sales, whether that's data on customers, whether that's data on the financial costs of doing business. And when we're managing complex change, it shouldn't be any different. But it doesn't come without its challenges. You've seen from the complexity and the breadth of data required, particularly when it comes to benefit realization, the challenge will be around securing leadership commitment to a data-led approach, from the design of your change all the way through to the realization of benefits at the other end of this journey. Secondly, focusing on measuring and tracking and acting on the right data. Not just what we have available, not just focusing on data that puts us in a positive light, but sometimes recognizing that to help drive change, we shine a light in dark corners and we expose areas where perhaps the business has not acknowledged previously that there is work to be done to improve. Thirdly, making sure that we've resourced properly with the tools, the people, to ensure that we're actually gathering, harvesting and analysing data in a timely fashion to inform the decisions that need to be made throughout that transition to your new ways of working. I hope you found this video informative and it's given you some food for thought about the importance of taking a data-led approach to managing complex change and transformation in organisations. If you have any thoughts or questions about the points that I've raised here today, or indeed you'd like to talk about a transformation that you're going through, we'd absolutely love to hear from you. Thank you.